denials, the pretzel working. It's blowing my mind. So we're going to talk about that for the next hour.
That's because you know how things are actually supposed to work, Jen Psaki.
Yes. And I'm going to talk to people who know exactly how things should work, so we aren't gaslit. That's going to be our job. Alicia, thank you so much. Have a good night. I'll see you soon. All right, welcome to The Beat. Our friend Ari Melber is off. I'm in for him. I'm Jen Psaki. We begin tonight, of course, as I just alluded to, with the exploding security scandal engulfing the Trump administration. It's only 2 days old, if you can believe that. Now, Trump officials are desperately, and I mean desperately, trying to pretend that sharing attack plans on a non-secure app where a journalist happens to be present, that's a key part of this. It's that they shared it on the app and the journalist happened to be present. That's how we know about it. But they're all pretending like this is no big deal. And their answers, I have to say, are leaving a whole lot to be desired and frankly just raising more questions.
The White House and the president's national security team doubling down on efforts to shift blame surrounding that Signal chat debacle.
But certainly the topic is of a nature in which you would not want our adversaries to know.
Current and former defense officials tell me these operational details shared in an unclassified setting would be considered a breach in national security.
It confirms our darkest assumptions about mishandling of sensitive military operations.
Now, for 2 days, it's only been 2 days old, Trump and his team have repeatedly denied that any classified information, any problematic information, was really shared in that chat. And so today, The Atlantic released more text, unredacted, that revealed discussions of weapons used, targets, and timing. And I can tell you that is problematic information to be discussing in an unsecure atmosphere and environment. Now, all the information that any national security expert, most would tell you, would that should be considered classified at the time because they're so specific and they're detailed and they could put people's lives at risk. We're going to show you the text with the actual military actions they're describing because I think it's important to see them. So Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth wrote, quote, "Team update, time now, 11:44 Eastern. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM. We are go for mission launch. 12:15 Eastern. F-18s launch. First strike package." He then goes on to describe more F-18 and drone strikes. Hegseth then continues to update the chat. 14:10 military time, of course. More F-18s launch. Second strike package. 14:15 strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop. 15:36, F-18 second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. You can see the missiles launched right there on the screen. And adding, we are currently clean on OPSEC, meaning operational security. Boy, that one doesn't age so well, does it? Now, there you have it. Those are very detailed. That is exactly what was published from The Atlantic. Those are specifics of what was on this group chat. Now, the transcript of the Signal chat released just this morning completely, obviously, undercuts those repeated denials from Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, and others. In releasing the information, which The Atlantic had originally withheld because of the operational details, they cited a clear public interest in disclosing the information. Trump officials were also back on the Hill today, where they got grilled by Democrats, many calling for Hegseth to resign.
It is outrageous, and it is a leadership failure.
I would argue that Secretary Hegseth, if he had the dignity that he needs to have, should be walking his resignation in, because I believe that his probably is heading toward being relieved of his duty based on what I think are significant and illegal leaks.
Nobody is willing to come to us and say this was wrong. This was a breach of security, and we won't do it again.
He needs to resign immediately, and a full investigation needs to be undertaken.
Now, Congressman Jason Crow's answer there, I mean, that sticks with me because nobody's acknowledged wrongdoing here. There are lots of things wrong, but that's a big one of them. Earlier this morning, The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg, who, of course, was the journalist who was added to the text chain and wrote the piece on Monday, also highlighted the dangers of sharing military plans in an unsecured chat.
Look, imagine this text went to someone else. I mean, if that's not secret, classified information about, or the most sensitive kind of government information in the world, I don't know what is. This is operational details about a forthcoming attack on an enemy that has anti-aircraft capabilities.
Now, Goldberg also wrote today, quote, if this had been received by someone hostile to American interests or someone merely indiscreet, the consequences for American pilots could have been catastrophic. The Pentagon guidelines, by the way, on what constitutes classified information are actually pretty clear and include disclosure of significant military plans or intelligence operations.
This text message is clearly classified information. Secretary Hegseth has disclosed military plans as well as classified information.
Targets, times, those kinds of things are absolutely classified, and we all know it.
There is no way, having sat on this committee for 9 years, that somebody would come in with that information and give us something that says unclassified. You can walk out of this room with this information and give it to whomever you want. Y'all know that's a lie. It's a lie to the country.
Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Jimmy Gomez, member of the Intel Committee, who was part of today's hearing, and Samantha Vinograd, former Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism, Threat Prevention, and Law Enforcement Policy at the Department of Homeland Security. Both certainly know how classified information should work and how it travels. Congressman, let me start with you. We showed a number of clips from that hearing today. It felt to me from reading the coverage there weren't a lot of questions answered. There's a lot of obfuscation, if you could say. Did you learn anything from the hearing, and what did you think of their answers?
I don't think they didn't answer anything. And second, it just doesn't pass the smell test. I mean, this is something that's so rational. One, they were first denying that they had this conversation until the report came out. Two, they're denying that there was any kind of targeting information, what weapons were used. And then even just yesterday, Tulsi goes on, uses the I don't recall defense. You've been on the job 43 days. This happened 10 days ago. You were using Signal not to plan where you guys are going to go for lunch, but to launch an military operation using lethal force. This doesn't make sense on any level, and they're straight up lying to the American public about it.
I mean, the I don't recall really doesn't pass the smell test, so just take your words. Sam, one of the explanations they've given, or the kind of strategies they've had here, should I say, is to say no one was hurt, the operation was successful. This just shows us policy discussion and debate and coordination. You've been in these rooms, you've sat in these meetings, you know how this information is supposed to travel. Why is information traveling over a channel like this, putting people at risk?
Classified or sensitive information is meant to be discussed and transmitted on classified channels, not encrypted ones, because information is classified, Jen, based on the perceived harm its unauthorized disclosure could do to U.S. national security. Look at where we are today. The entire world now knows about internal communications among senior national security officials in the United States.
Including the vice president.
Including the vice president, national security advisor. It's not like we have that kind of insight into how Kremlin officials are discussing battle plans or how the People's Republic of China is having policy deliberations. And by having these kind of conversations in insecure ways, you open up these communications to exploitation by bad actors, foreign governments, criminal networks who can use it to gain an advantage on the battlefield, to gain insights into how the U.S. government is working, and more. Classified information and sensitive information should stay in secure places.
One of the things I've been wondering about is how many other Signal chats were there possibly? I mean, this one was the Houthi PC small group Signal chat. I can't imagine it was the first one. I'm sure you wonder about that.
No, it's definitely a question that has run through my head, and it just shows on if they were this sloppy on this issue, they're probably sloppy on other issues. And here's the thing. Signal, if you can read the Signal chat, then the Chinese and the Russians, who are most likely on your phones, can read it. This is something that when you get on the committee, they drill it into you. Everything that's on your phone is compromised. So when they have this kind of discussion, they're really putting the lives of our men and women in service in danger.
No question about it, which is why I think this brushing through of nobody was hurt this time, don't worry about it, is offensive to people serving our country in the military. One of the debates here, I don't think it's a debate, is this question of whether this information was classified. And there's I don't want to call it semantics, but the issue here is that this information was operational and put people at risk, and it put an operation at risk. How did you read it, and you've seen a lot of classified information, digested it? What do you think?
Sure. Never have I ever seen an operational plan that was not classified. Yeah. So this doesn't have to be a guessing game, though. What Secretary Hegseth was messaging about, the timing of the strikes, the weapons being used, that was all derived from an operational plan, probably drafted by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that got an original classification. In this situation, what would be prudent would be for there to be an investigation into what the original classification of that content was, that Secretary Hegseth then ostensibly copied into the Signal chat. What we haven't seen is the FBI, for example, announcing such an investigation, or the Pentagon proactively saying we're going to look into this. We should take the guessing out of this and let professionals do their jobs to determine if there was, in fact, an unauthorized disclosure of classified information, so we can avoid any unintended consequences.
One of the questions I often get when people stop me in the grocery store, I'm sure you all get the same things, is like, what can Congress do? What can people do? I mean, you're in the minority in the House. Yes. The Democrats are in the minority in the Senate. There's certainly public opinion, and public opinion is not excited. They're very displeased by this, to put it diplomatically. What can Congress do to compel an investigation? What can you do in the minority, I should say, to compel an investigation, to push for more information if there isn't cooperation from Mike Johnson and the leadership in the House?
Yeah, we have to keep pushing and then discussing this in public. Today, one of the guys from Barstool Sports said, hey, this doesn't jive. This doesn't work.
It's a sign it's broken through, perhaps. Yes.
It's a sign that's broken through to the people that they care about. And we got to keep raising that as an issue, because this is not about scoring political points. This is about the safety of our armed services and how sloppy this administration has become. Remember, this is not the first lap of judgment that this administration has had when it comes to the CIA, DOJ, and OPM. This is a reoccurring thing that we're seeing. So I think that we got to keep talking about it, and then hopefully the tide turns and the senators stand up.
I want to play, so Gabbard and Ratcliffe did a lot of dodging yesterday. I just want to play that. I know we've talked about it a little bit, but just to remind people there and talk to you guys a little bit about it.
Any mention of any military unit whatsoever? Mr. Ratcliffe?
Not that I recall.
Ms. Gabbard?
Not that I recall.
I recall there being an exchange. I don't recall the specifics.
I don't remember the exact wording that I used, but I did not recall the specific details. I don't recall which country I was in at that time.
You don't remember the country?
I'd have to go back and look at the schedule.
I mean, okay. I worked at the State Department for 2 presidents. We've all done. That's very hard for me to believe. What did you make of their answers there? Let me start with you, Sam.
A lot of dodging, to use your word, Jen, but we have served under various administrations. If you ever think there might be a security violation at any point, it's incumbent upon all of us in that moment, not when you're in front of Congress, to alert the appropriate official that there could be an unauthorized disclosure. So saying that you didn't recall something that happened several days ago doesn't speak to the fact that the time when really sensitive information was shared on an encrypted versus a classified platform, nobody spoke up and contacted a security official to say, hey, something's amiss here.
Anyone could have spoken up. Any of the 18 on there, Congressman Gomez, Samantha Vinograd, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. Stay with me. Samantha, you're staying with me. You're staying with me, too. All of you hopefully stay with me. Coming up, the questions that Pete Hegseth was refusing to answer today. A top military leader is going to join us live. Plus, the gap between Trump officials and what they said under oath and what the group chat actually discussed. We've talked about that a little bit, but I'm going to talk to a senator from that hearing and see what he thinks. And there's also been a lot of fallout from Trump's prizing loyalty and Fox FaceTime over competence. We're back in just 90 seconds. We're going to talk about all of it.
You might know Harbor Freight for affordability. What you might not know is performance and durability go right along with it. You see, we test, and then we test again. World-class engineering and rigorous testing to ensure our tools perform at the highest level and stand the test of time without testing your wallet. Now, it's time for you to put us to the test. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
If you have heart failure or chronic kidney disease, Farxiga can help you keep living life. because there are places you'd like to be. Serious side effects include increased ketones in blood or urine and bacterial infection between the anus and genitals, both which may be fatal. Severe allergic reactions, dehydration, urinary tract or genital yeast infections, and low blood sugar. Stop taking and tell your doctor right away if you have nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, rash, swelling, trouble breathing or swallowing. Tell your doctor about lightheadedness, weakness, fever, pain, tenderness, redness or swelling between the anus and genitals. Ask your doctor about Farxiga today.
Extreme weather moving into the area. Better stay inside.
Don't let what's happening outside affect how you feel inside. Pella windows are tested against extreme heat, cold, wind, and rain.
Nobody's texting war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
Mr. Secretary, how do you square what you said with what your messages show? Mr. Secretary, did you share classified information? Mr. Secretary, did you declassify that information before you put it in the chat? Are you using Signal for sensitive operations? Why? Sir.
I wonder how he felt when he read The Atlantic this morning and saw all of that. That was, of course, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth dashing away from reporters today, asking very valid questions amid growing questions about his role in this security breach. After, of course, as we've been talking about, The Atlantic publicly shared the detailed text about the military operational plans, which is how we know that. In the group chat, Hegseth shared plans about F-18s, Tomahawk missiles, drones, and targets, and cluelessly claimed that we are currently clean on operational security. Now, the conservative Wall Street Journal saying, quote, today, Hegseth's behavior looks less defensible. He tried to shift the blame for the fiasco on the journalist who was put on the chat, which is silly. I think it's a bit more than silly, but hey, when you've lost the Wall Street Journal, you got to be wondering. Now, remember, just days after this group chat, the Pentagon literally warned against using Signal, even for unclassified information. That came from the Pentagon, the agency that Secretary Hegseth, of course, runs. Now, joining me now is retired U.S. Army Brigadier General Stephen Anderson, and Samantha Vinogradov is back with us. It's great to see you. Thank you for joining us. There's so much expertise at this table. I really appreciate it. Let me start with you. I mean, you have been a part of and overseen many military operations. When you read the detailed Signal messages that were in The Atlantic this morning, what did you think of that information?
It disgusted me. I mean, of course, the Secretary is splitting hairs over this term war plans, okay? I worked in the War Plans Division of the Army staff for a couple of years, 30 years ago, and a war plan is like a 500-page detailed, written plan. But what was in there was top secret information, elements of a war plans. When you're talking about targets, when you're talking about weapons platforms, when you're talking about delivery times, you're talking about, target delivery times and then launch delivery times. And then most importantly, they had, which is being missed by a lot of people, the battle damage assessments that were in there. Now, I'm here to tell you, Jen, there are lives at risk right now because of what was in that strand, because we put people, we told the world that we have human intelligence. We watched this bad guy walk into an apartment building in his girlfriend's apartment. They know, the Houthis know that we have somebody on the ground that saw that.
This is such an important point, and I don't want to move on yet because the battleground assessments and what you just said about the world knowing what we know. Tell us more about, tell people at home, who's at risk, what is it putting at risk, and what still concerns you now? Because part of it, as you've seen them say, is nobody was hurt, we did the operation, it's all fine. You're saying it's absolutely not fine.
Poppycock, absolute poppycock. We don't know what we don't know. I mean, we don't know that who is exactly at risk. We know this. The Houthis know that we now have human intelligence. That human intelligence could have been provided by our NATO partners, okay? And of course, they were slandered in this strand as well, which is just egregious. But now human intelligence is a very, very important part of any kind of intelligence operation. Now they know that there's somebody perhaps across the street in a hotel room with a set of binoculars, and they're down there breaking down doors right now trying to find these people. They might be being tortured right now as we speak. So for them to say, well, it's all good because the operation was a success, baloney. The operation is not over, and we may very well have compromised lives because of what was in this strand.
It's such an important thing to remember, and thank you for explaining that. And you raised a point that I think isn't getting enough attention either, which is kind of how our allies and partners digest this, because a lot of the intelligence, not all of it, obviously the United States has an excellent intelligence operation and gathering operation, but we do get some from our allies and partners. We have the Five Eyes cooperation where we share information. You've been a part of these meetings, where you've sat in these meetings. What do you think they're talking about in those capitals as they look at this reporting and how this type of information, we don't know where it came from, to your point, how this information is shared?
We have the sources and methods issue that the general just articulated. It is very unlikely that a battleground assessment was conducted and provided without intelligence at some level of classification being integrated. Beyond that, though, I think our intelligence partners are taking a step back and thinking, wow, should I really keep sharing my own intelligence with the United States based upon how carelessly senior officials are sharing sensitive information? We rely on our Five Eyes partners, NATO partners, and others for really critical battlefield intelligence that's then integrated into operational security plans and more. And at this point, based on the callousness with which this information is being treated and the failure to just acknowledge that there was perhaps a misuse of a platform, I think our intelligence partners are questioning whether to keep sharing as extensively with us, not to mention the fact that they likely already had concerns in this regard based upon the posture the administration has taken towards the intelligence community writ large.
I think one of the things people don't see unless they've worked in government is that there are tens of thousands, more than that, of people who handle different forms of intelligence information, of classified information, protecting sources and methods in the military, in the State Department. And a lot of those people you would never be able to identify. You don't know who they are. They're just working hard every day. What would happen if somebody who was lower ranking, who wasn't the Secretary of Defense, who was a rank and file person in the military, did something like this?
You and I would be fired. You know, we'd be court-martialed. They probably violated the law, probably violated the Espionage Act. You know, now in the military, we're growing up with this principle, you know, that leadership by example. A good leader does the things that his troops do and holds himself to the same standard as his troops. Okay, Secretary Hegseth, you said accountability starts now when you took the job. Well, guess what? Accountability starts with you. You need to look in the mirror and you need to submit your resignation, because that's exactly the kind of egregious error that he has committed. He needs to resign. He has let down all the people, all the soldiers, sailors, and airmen and marine that are in his command. He's let them all down, and he told them, and for him to continue in the job is a total double standard that will degrade morale throughout the military.
And Jen, I think the point is there are processes for investigating unauthorized disclosures. It's not up to us. It's not up to the court of public opinion. If there was some lower-ranking person that perhaps had engaged in an unauthorized disclosure, there might be an FBI investigation, there might be an Inspector General investigation. So the processes need to play out, not just in the court of public opinion, but through the existing mechanisms in play.
There's no question about that, and that's what we'd all like to see take place. And it's just a skeptical. I mean, are you skeptical that that is going to happen right now?
No, I mean, absolutely skeptical. Yes, I mean, it's not going to happen. I mean, Trump. This is the Trump playbook. You know, he deny, delay, obfuscate, and then attack the source. I mean, you know, and never admit defeat, never admit you made a mistake. He's never done that. He doesn't accept the results of the 2020 election still, for crying out loud. I mean, you know, and all the people were chosen not on the basis of their competence. They're chosen on the basis of their obsequious response to their loyalty to Donald Trump. And so when you pick people on the basis of loyalty, you get the incompetence, you get the laziness, you get the arrogance that we saw on display in both today's House committee hearing and the Senate committee hearing yesterday. I mean, these people have no business being, and by the way, our national security is at risk because now our adversaries know that we are being led by incompetent, lazy people, and they can take advantage of that fact.
I would be shocked if that's the only small PC convo happening over a signal chat that's happened. General, Samantha, thank you both so much. Really helpful. I learned a lot during that conversation. Thank you. And still ahead, the first polling on the Signal scandal is now in. It's only been a few days, but it's much worse for Trump than he may have expected. Also, what Marco Rubio is saying today versus what he said about Hillary Clinton and why that's pretty awkward for him. And I'll talk live to the senator who absolutely grilled Trump's CIA director and national intelligence director.
Did this conversation at some point include information on weapons packages, targets, or timing?
Not that I'm aware of.
If you have heart disease and struggle with LDL-C,
even with statins and diet,
listen to your heart.
Talk to your doctor about Repatha.
Repatha plus a statin lowers LDL-C by 63%. Do not take Repatha if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Common side effects include runny nose, sore throat, common cold symptoms, flu or flu-like symptoms, back pain, high blood sugar, and redness, pain, or bruising at the injection site. Ask about Repatha.
Bye-bye cough.
Later chest congestion. Hello, 12 hours of relief.
12 hours? Not coughing? Hashtag still not coughing?
Mucin XDM gives you 12 hours of relief from chest congestion and any type of cough, day or night. Mucin XDM. It's comeback season.
Still taking yours?
Every day.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin.
Okay, remember the deal. 4 lines on Verizon, $25 each.
And iPhone 16 Pro.
We all get one. It's not on us, it is on them.
I'm going in.
Hi, we're here for
the unlimited plan, $25 a line.
Yeah, and
iPhone 16 Pro, one for each of you.
Yeah, but it's
on us. We got you.
Right now, every family gets our best price, $25 a line and iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence. Get 4 on us, only on Verizon.
That was actually easier than we thought.
When our numbers guy Frank goes on vacation, the deals on the most affordable German-engineered car brand in America get even better.
He's coming back!
Hop in during Volkswagen Deal Days. The deals are in while Frank is out. Get up to a $2,500 customer bonus on select new 2025 models during Volkswagen Deal Days.
I wanted to gain new skills, so I earned my degree online from Oregon State University.
Pack at your pace, store your things until you're ready. Then we deliver to your new home. Pods.
Hey, Dad. The pharmacy called. Sounds like you still haven't picked up your heart medication. Are you all right?
Don't let your call go unanswered. Call APS or visit our website to learn more.
Grand Canyon University, an affordable private Christian university, is one of the largest universities in the country, offering more than 270 programs online. In addition to federal grants and aid, GCU's online students received nearly $140 million in institutional scholarships in 2023. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu/myoffer to see the scholarships you may qualify for.
We're back with more fallout from the group chat scandal. Intel Director Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe facing tough questions about the security perils of that chat. Politico calling their response, quote, chaotic, with Gabbard and Ratcliffe both claiming there was no classified information involved, which is quite a claim because we know so much more now. Their answers also obviously look quite different in light of the actual text messages released by The Atlantic.
I don't know Jeffrey Goldberg, and I've already testified. I don't know whether or how he was added.
The discussion included the vice president's private opinion on the wisdom of proposed U.S. strikes in Yemen, correct?
I don't recall.
I don't recall specific weapons systems being named.
Did this conversation at some point include information on weapons packages, targets, or timing?
Not that I'm aware of.
The text thread showed exact timings and weapon system names. We read them earlier, yet they don't recall. They were literally on the text chain. The Atlantic reporting that Ratcliffe also said that he shared the identity of a CIA official, which they have kept redacted because that person is an active officer. That's the decision the Atlantic made. Ratcliffe was pressed on this issue by Senator Martin Heinrich.
There was
no classified
agent mentioned as part of this story. Normally, that would be classified information. So I guess what I'm asking is, did you just determine it was not classified, or was there any declassification after the fact?
I communicated the name of a CIA officer not operating undercover, completely appropriate.
Joining me now is that very senator who you just saw, Martin Heinrich of New Mexico. Senator, I know you've been living this, trying to get more information, trying to ask very valid, legitimate questions over the last couple of days. But you hadn't seen, though, the text messages until this morning when the Atlantic...
Just like everyone else.
Just like everybody else. What did you think when you read them?
Well, I thought, how could you come and testify in front of Congress and not think, given everything that's gone on, that the details would come out? So when you have the director of the CIA, when you have the DNI, just brazenly lying to Congress, how could they not think that this wasn't going to come out at some point, or that we wouldn't get to the bottom of it? It's deeply disappointing.
I mean, there were receipts, and there was a journalist, not of his own accord, on this group chat. You pressed him, and this stuck out to me when I first read the story on Monday, and I talked with Jeffrey Goldberg on Monday night, and he brought this up too, and you pressed him on the CIA director releasing the name of somebody who was a covert operative or somebody who should not be released by any standard. Now, what Ratcliffe said is that the CIA officer he named isn't undercover, therefore it's appropriate.
I've never seen that line of theory used in the past. We normally would just not use people's names in these circumstances, and it creates risk, irregardless of what the director may think. Having those names out in the open is not something that we ever want.
I think it's important, just because I think this is such a piece that doesn't get enough attention, and you so press them so well on this. Just because you have high-level security clearance, as senators do and people in administrations do, it doesn't mean you know the name of covert operatives. And it doesn't mean that everybody on that signal chat knew the name, beyond Jeffrey Goldberg. There's a reason why it's kept to smaller groups. You also pressed, of course, we showed part of this, Gabbard and Ratcliffe on the details of the text messages. So let's just play that for a moment.
Did this conversation at some point include information on weapons packages, targets, or timing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Director Gabbard, same question.
Same answer, and defer to the Department of Defense on that question.
Well, those are two different answers, but you're saying that was not part of the conversation.
That's my knowledge.
Now, Secretary Hegseth also lied about this. They weren't the only people lying about it. They were sitting there under oath, testifying in Congress.
Yes.
It was a text chain they were on. Hard to imagine they didn't remember those details. But did they lie to you?
Yeah, they did lie to us. And it's hard to imagine for me that they didn't all go over the text chain the night before, or in the run-up to even the morning, knowing that this was in the news already. So it's incredibly disappointing to see how cavalierly they misrepresented this. And obviously, I hadn't seen those parts of the text chain at that point, but I suspected, and what we would normally really be concerned about showing up outside of what we call the high side, the secure communications infrastructure that we use, are these operational details, because that is what can put service members at risk. And this is a case where real lives are on the line. There were details, there were intelligence details in these exchanges that may well have put people's lives, as we heard from the general earlier.
Yeah, the general was making this point, and they're still at risk now. And this now gives the Houthis a better understanding of how these communications happen.
That's exactly right.
And some of our adversaries. Let me ask you, Senator Roger Wicker came out and said today that the Senate Armed Services Committee is seeking an expedited IG investigation, which it feels absolutely appropriate. It would happen under any circumstance. He's a Republican senator. We haven't heard that from a lot of other Republican senators or any others that I'm aware of publicly at this point, but you talked to them privately. Do you think more could come out? Is there more who might call for that?
I really hope more do come out, because the private conversations are, people know this was wrong. People know that it was reckless. No one wants to defend this in the public. Even if you watch the worldwide threat assessment hearing in its totality, you didn't hear Republicans coming to the defense of this kind of recklessness. And so we'll just have to see, there's this palpable fear of saying anything critical of Team Trump. And to his credit, I think Roger Wicker did what anyone would normally do in this situation, which is just to say, like, let's get to the bottom of it.
That's what IGs are supposed to do. Hence why it's so problematic that a number of them were fired. Senator, thank you so much, and thank you for continuing to press on this issue. I know there's many, many more questions out there.
We're not done yet.
I know you're not. I hope we'll look forward to talking to you again. And still ahead, Marco Rubio's attacks on Hillary Clinton's emails are not aging well, to put it lightly. We'll get into that. I'll walk you through it. But first, we're going to talk about new polling that's out and how it's pretty bad for Trump on this.
With USPS Ground Advantage, it's like you're with us every step of the way.
Right on time.
Stay in the know from your dock to their door.
Hey, grab more delectables. You know, that lickable cat treat.
Delickable delectables.
Yes, just hurry.
Must be delicious.
Delectables, lickable treat. Deliciously delickable delectables.
I personalized the outer packaging of the coffee, and I made a TikTok. When I went viral, I had over 1,200 orders and over $25,000 in sales. Had it not been for TikTok, Cafe and Pros would not be around today.
Happy birthday again. Here's a cake and some friends. But what if we actually celebrate Julia? And how much she loves snacks, or her elegant style, and the home she gave Alfie, with gifts from Etsy.
Gifts that say I get you, Etsy.
Life doesn't come with an owner's manual. Freedom is getting to write your own. So get 10% off a Jeep Wrangler, or get into a Jeep Grand Cherokee, where freedom is on-road or off, where it's a front row seat to the city, or a second row seat, maybe even a third. Life doesn't come with an owner's manual, so get out there and write your own.
During the Jeep Celebration event, get 10% below MSRP for an average of $5,650 under MSRP on these 2024 Jeep Wrangler models. See your local Jeep brand dealer today.
I got this wow skin from Olay Body Wash. Its new super serum sinks into my skin with 5 powerful ingredients. 5 benefits in one. Look at this Olay difference. So luminous. Olay Super Serum Body Wash.
When allergies throw a sucker punch, the power of Claritin D punches back harder. Get fast, powerful relief of your worst symptoms, like nasal congestion. Claritin clears.
Life with AFib can mean a lifetime of blood thinners. And if you're troubled by falls and bleeds, worry follows you everywhere. Over 500,000 people have left blood thinners behind with Watchman. Watchman is a safe, minimally invasive, one-time implant that reduces stroke risk and bleeding worry for life. Watchman, it's one time for a lifetime.
Bye-bye, cough. Later, chest congestion. Hello, 12 hours of relief.
12 hours? Not coughing? Hashtag still not coughing?
Mucin XDM gives you 12 hours of relief from chest congestion in any type of cough, day or night. Mucin XDM. It's comeback season.
Today you and tomorrow you aren't the same person. If you're tired of what Today You is doing, get an Accounting Fundamentals Certificate from WGU School of Business and get a whole new Tomorrow You in just 6 months. Enroll today at WGU.
The reviews are in. U of M Flint has been named one of the state's best online schools, with top-ranked degrees and the most affordable programs in Michigan. U of M Flint, where success leads.
It's a whole new ballgame. How will your journey evolve?
Rated E for everyone.
Try Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand.
Claritin Liquid provides powerful, all-day allergy relief in an instantly soothing liquid. Live Claritin Clear.
Yeah, today Trump said it'll never happen again, and from now on, they'll only talk about war plans over Snapchat.
It's here, and then boom, it's gone. It's gone.
We don't know that nothing happens on Snapchat. I'm doubtful that they can use it, but who knows? So maybe we'll find out in the future. Okay, so tonight the first polling on the Signal scandal is out. It's only been 2 days, but it's not good for the White House. Americans view it as more serious than Trump's classified documents. You remember that on the screen. And of course, than Hillary Clinton's emails. Nearly 3/4 of Americans, 74%, say the Signal leak is either somewhat or very serious, including 60% of Republicans. All this is from YouGov. Someone else who finds it serious, it seems, is apparently Donald Trump. Since the scandal broke, Trump has publicly supported Mike Waltz, his national security advisor, but Politico reports that behind closed doors, quote, the president was pissed that Waltz could be so stupid. Now, what most presidents, Democrats and Republicans, not named Trump, would be far more pissed about, I will tell you, is the fact that his national security team was sharing details about a sensitive military operation on a group chat. But this is not a normal president or a normal presidency. Now, since Trump's focus was on the adding of the journalist part, it's really probably not a surprise that Fox's Laura Ingraham also pressed Waltz on that detail.
I don't know this guy. He wasn't on my phone, and we're going to figure out how this happened.
So you don't know what staffer is responsible for this right now?
Well, look, a staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility.
How did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes. But how did it end up in your phone?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. So the person that I thought was on there was never on there. It was this
Who
guy.
was that? What person?
Well, I'm not. Look, okay. Laura, I take responsibility.
Okay. I can't say this too many times. Jeffrey Goldberg being included on the Signal chat is far from the most important issue here. But what that interview does show you is some of the pressure on Trump's handpicked national security advisor, Michael Waltz, and what he's getting from the right. Now, the conservative National Review magazine is also calling for Trump to fire Pete Hegseth, and that's just 2 days into all of this. Joining me now is John Harwood, a veteran D.C. correspondent and now a distinguished fellow at Duke University. So you have seen spin from all sorts of people, from every administration, trying to explain things that are controversial. What do you make of their efforts in this moment?
Well, they're ridiculous. They're transparently nonsense. Like you heard from Mike Waltz there. Oh, do you ever have somebody's name in your phone and another person's phone number? What is he even talking about there?
He also said that he wants Elon Musk to look into the best tech experts to help. It's like, let me explain to you how Signal works. You have to hand enter each person in to form a group chat. But anyway, continue.
And they're trying to make this distinction: attack plan, war plan. Also ridiculous. And I do think that's one of the reasons why this makes this dangerous for Trump is you got the National Review, you got several senators now speaking up, perhaps feeling a little guilty of having voted to confirm Pete Hegseth. But this is a case where the incompetence and the dishonesty are now so obvious and so many people are being made aware of it. I think this is damaging for him. They normally brazen their way through because Republican media will take the spin and run with it and say, oh, well, it's Jeff Goldberg's fault. But I think that's not sufficient now. And Donald Trump himself, for all his blustering about the press, he follows the mainstream media, and I think he has a sense of when he's being embarrassed, and I think he knows he's being embarrassed right now.
I think that's pretty clear because he's trying to kind of move away from this. He did do a podcast this morning. I think it was this morning. I just want to play that because I want to get your thoughts on that. It's very consistent with what you just said.
It's something that is not a big deal, other than you want to find out who did it and how they did it. Because you don't want to happen, in the future. You can't have that happen.
Now, we don't really know how they did it and who did it, but all the reporting suggests that his focus is really on this. How did Jeffrey Goldberg get on there? And did Michael Waltz have his contact in his phone? That is not an important issue. I mean, I do wonder about that, but the important question any president, as I said earlier, would be asking, I think, is why is my national security team having these sensitive conversations? What does Trump's answer tell you?
Well, Donald Trump cares exclusively about himself. And so the idea that there was a risk associated with the way this went down, and that there was a danger that our pilots could get shot down, that kind of thing, that doesn't really register with him. What registers with him is bad press and things that hurt Donald Trump. And I think, he sounded a little haggard there, and I think he knows he's and his team have really stepped in it.
He also typically gets support from the right-wing media. It's not universal right now. We'll see what happens. I just want to play how Fox News is downplaying it, too, because I think it's interesting.
Maybe he manually put a phone number in, and it was the wrong phone number.
And happened to be that journalist?
Yeah.
The outrage from the left over a reporter accidentally being added, a one-off, one-time, minor accident.
Yeah, he read some things he probably shouldn't have. It was an accident. Accidents happen when you're taking action.
They're trying real hard there. What do you think?
Well, they are, as they usually do, manning the battle stations. But they're really undercut when you see the National Review saying Pete Hegseth thought to get fired. The Wall Street Journal editorial page also chastised the administration today. So I think they look a little silly trying to do that. And they're also not addressing, as you indicated earlier, the real threat, which is they're exchanging classified information on a commercial app. And it is the kind of thing that I can't imagine any other White House that I've covered, apart from Trump's, because they are uniquely, especially in the second term, uniquely incompetent. But George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, no, this would never happen.
No question. Jeffrey Goldberg said the same thing to me on Monday night. John Harwood, always great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. Coming up next, hypocrisy as the GOP gives Trump officials a pass after blasting Hillary Clinton for her emails. Remember those emails? They seem quaint now.
If you have heart failure or chronic kidney disease, Farxiga can help you keep living life, because there are places you'd like to be. Serious side effects include increased ketones in blood or urine and bacterial infection between the anus and genitals, both which may be fatal. Severe allergic reactions, dehydration, urinary tract or genital yeast infections, and low blood sugar. Stop taking and tell your doctor right away if you have nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, rash, swelling, trouble breathing or swallowing. Tell your doctor about lightheadedness, weakness, fever, pain, tenderness, redness or swelling between the anus and genitals. Ask your doctor about Farxiga today.
For plant-based healthy blood pressure support, there's one brand at Walmart that stands above the rest. It's Super Beets. Discover why more cardiologists recommend Super Beets for heart health support than any other beet brand at superbeets.com.
Well, would you look at that?
Jerry, you gotta see this.
Saying it. Trust me, after 15 walks, gets a little old.
Yeah, I really should be retired by now.
Wish I invested when I had the chance. To the moon. Unbelievable.
Stop waiting. Start investing.
Did you take your vitamin today?
That's my job.
Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand.
With USPS Ground Advantage, it's like you're with us every step of the way.
Right on time.
Stay in the know from your dock to their door.
You know Harbor Freight for affordability, but durability goes right along with it. You see, we test, and then we test again. Now, it's time for you to put us to the test. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Love you. Have a good day. Behave yourself.
Like, she goes to work at 3 in the afternoon and sometimes gets off at midnight. She works a lot. A whole lot. We don't get to eat in the early morning. We just wait till we get to the school. So, yeah.
Right now, here in America, millions of kids like Victoria and Andre live with hunger, and the need to help them has never been greater. When you join your friends, neighbors, and me to support No Kid Hungry, you'll help hungry kids get the food they need.
If we want to take care of our children, then we have to feed them.
Your gift of just 63 cents a day, only $19 a month at helpnokidhungry.org right now will help provide healthy meals and hope.
We want our children to grow and thrive and to just not have to worry and face themselves with the struggles that we endure. Nobody wants that for their children.
Like, if these programs didn't exist, me and AJ, we wouldn't probably get lunch at all.
Please call or go online right now with your gift of just $19 a month. And when you use your credit card, you'll receive this limited edition t-shirt to show you're part of the team that's helping feed kids and change lives.
If you're coming in hungry, there's no way you can listen to me teach, do this activity, work with this group. So starting their day with breakfast and ending their day with this big, beautiful snack is pretty incredible.
Whether kids are learning at school or at home, your support will ensure they get the healthy meals they need to thrive. Because when you help feed kids, you feed their hopes, their dreams, and futures. Kids need you now more than ever. So please call this number right now to join me in helping hungry kids, or go online to helpnokidhungry.org and help feed hungry kids today.
So many of the Trump officials embroiled in the Signal scandal are also on record talking about the importance of protecting classified information. God bless archived videos. There's a lot out there. So it's pretty revealing to hear what they are saying now, how compared to what they said back then. I mean, compare Pete Hegseth's dismissive and defensive comments this week to what he said about Hillary Clinton using her personal email.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
People have gone to jail for 1/100th of what, even 1/1000th of what Hillary Clinton did. I mean, it's all ridiculous. It's all over the top. It's all criminal.
My job, as it said atop of that, everybody's seen it now, team update, is to provide updates in real time, general updates in real time, keep everybody informed.
If you are using unclassified means, there is the potential for and likelihood that foreign governments are targeting those accounts.
Wow. Archive video footage of Fox News. That sure is tough for Pete Hegseth. Secretary of State Marco Rubio struck a different tone than Hegseth today. He conceded that it was, quote, a mistake to add a journalist to the group chat, yes. But he took a dramatically different tone, downplaying the scandal rather than hype it, as of course he definitely did with Clinton.
The White House is looking at it, but that none of the information on there at any point threatened the operation of the lives of our servicemen.
We're going to talk about how she used her email server irresponsibly and recklessly, thereby putting American information potentially in the hands of our enemies.
Now, the scandals, of course, engulfing Hegseth and Rubio and many other top Trump officials, forcing them to confront their own self-professed standards. We'll be right back.
Bye-bye, cough. Later, chest congestion. Hello, 12 hours of relief.
12 hours? Not coughing? Hashtag still not coughing?
Mucin XDM gives you 12 hours of relief from chest congestion and any type of cough, day or night. Mucin XDM. It's comeback season.
I'm obsessed with this Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash. With vitamin B3 complex, it's really hydrating. My skin is visibly improved. Look at the Olay difference. It's Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash and Lotion.
Extreme weather moving into the area. Rain, snow, and strong winds. You better stay inside.
Me, I'm super fly, super duper fly, super duper fly. Me, I'm super fly, super duper fly.
Don't let what's happening outside affect how you feel inside. Pella windows are tested against extreme heat, cold, wind, and rain, so you can protect what matters most.
The darkness of bipolar depression made me feel like I was losing interest in the things I love. Then I found a chance to let in the light.
Discover Capilita,
Unlike some medicines that only treat bipolar 1, Caplyta is proven to deliver significant symptom relief from both bipolar 1 and 2 depression. And in clinical trials, movement disorders and weight gain were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, and dry mouth. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor how Caplyta can help you let in the light. Find savings at Caplyta.com.
It's your phone. With Verizon, trade in any phone in any condition.
Whole flight info from notes, send to mom.
And get the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus with AI and a watch and tab all on us. That's up to $1,900 in value. Only on Verizon.
Everywhere they go, everything they have tried to do, they are running up against opposition. The pushback all over this country has thrown down stop strips in the road to flatten their tires and at least slow them down and sometimes to stop them. And it has happened everywhere. And none of it has been easy, given the scale of what they are trying to do to this country. But the feedback loop here is very clear 6 weeks in. It is working, and redoubled efforts will mean redoubled results.
Grand Canyon University, an affordable private Christian university based in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, is one of the largest universities in the country. Praised for its culture of community and impact, GCU integrates the free market system, a welcoming Christian worldview, and free and open discourse into more than 330 academic programs with over 270 online, including nursing, teaching, and technology. By joining GCU's community of nearly 93,000 online learners across the country, you'll have the support of your university counselor, who takes a personalized approach toward helping you achieve your goals. In addition to federal grants and aid, GCU's online students received nearly $140 million in institutional scholarships in 2023. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu/myoffer to see the scholarships you may qualify for.
So that does it for me this hour. I'm going to be back at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. Simone Sanders Townsend is up next.